Hey everybody. Today I wanted to talk about retirement income sources. So when you do finally retire, um, where's the money coming from in order for you to live off of? Um, so it's a brand new channel. If you can subscribe, that'll really help me. Um, but it really made me think about, okay, well, if I want to retire early, especially, um, what am I going to live off of? And if you have a financial plan that you put in place, you're going to be thinking about these things. So, are you going to be living off your investments? Are you counting on Social Security? Do you have other sources of income? So, let's start off with investments. So, if you invest in the stock market and you have obviously when you're getting closer to retirement, you want to be in less risky assets and more income producing um, things such as bonds or maybe treasury bills or CDs, or you're kind of in, as you get closer to retirement, in capital preservation. You don't want to be 100% stocks when you retire, because although over time stocks are going to be paying you out on average more than less risky investments, they are more uh, volatile, and in the short term you could be retiring and the stock market crashes, and now it's going to be an uphill battle in order to make that money back. So you do want to de-risk as you're getting closer to retirement, which means you're not going to be making as much off those investments. And you know you want to figure out, okay, well, if I'm investing in bonds, for instance, what percentage am I getting back as interest payment on those bonds? So you kind of have to figure out, okay, well, if I have $1 million and I'm getting 4% on my bonds, that's $40,000 a year. You kind of have to figure out up front first, like, what's your lifestyle going to be like? What are your expenses? You know, some people can live off of $40,000 easily. Other people, they can't. So you really have to know, okay, well, what type of lifestyle do I want to have? So you really have to figure out your expense plan first, more than anything, and then make sure you have enough income coming in to cover that. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense to retire if you're not going to be able to cover your expenses, especially if you want to retire early. So you have your investments. So any interest payments from a CD, treasury bill, bonds, dividend paying stocks. You have to figure out, okay, well, how much money am I getting from that on a yearly basis? And also know that, especially if you have like a dividend paying stock, they're not paying you monthly. Typically, you're getting paid every quarter. If you have money just in an online savings account, yeah, you're getting money every 30 days of interest, but um, that's more probably emergency fund money regardless, and not so much more investment. That's just more liquid. So that's one source of income. Are What are your investments? A second source of income could be from real estate. Are you Do you have a property that you're getting rental income from? A lot of people retire on just having a bunch of houses, and eventually having them paid off and getting rental income, and that's their source of funds for their retirement. It's not for everybody. Um, I've experienced being a landlord, and it's not exactly the most fun thing, especially if a renter doesn't pay on time or stops paying altogether, and you just have the upkeep of a home and things that break, and and for me that's just one place. And if you have a whole portfolio, maybe you have to have a property manager, and you got to manage the property manager, make sure they're doing the right thing. So rental income might not be for everybody, but for some folks that's a good path, and that could be a source of income. you know let's say you want to just rent out a room in your house. You could do that. So you could find a bunch of different ways from real estate to augment your income. Not everybody's going to want like a random person living in a spare bedroom or do Airbnb because it's just too much work. But for others, it makes sense. So rental income is a really good potential income source. There's Social Security. Now, Social Security, I don't think the government is going to let it, be defunct. So maybe there's going to be benefits that are reduced, or the retirement age is going to be increased. For myself, another 10 years, I think they're forecasting, it's not going to be, they're not going to be able to pay out what they're estimating. But it's the type of thing, that everybody counts on, so Congress will do something. But that's a source of income. It could vary depending on how much you paid into the system. I think they use your 35 best years of income to calculate how much you get. And then, of course, it depends on when you want to claim it. Are you claiming it right away at 62, or are you waiting till 70, which will give you the best payout? I think every month, starting at age 62, it goes up a certain percentage, depending on which month you claim. Some people want to just get it right away because nothing's promised in the future, and maybe you're in poor health and your longevity, you don't see yourself going past 70 very much, so you want to claim that early. I think for some people the break-even points could be around 80 or 79 or something like that, so that getting out at 62 just makes the most sense for them. So there's a lot of pros and cons depending on when you claim, but Social Security is an income source, assuming you had a job. Depending on when you claim, it's one thing, but that is another income source. So beyond those three things, there's part-time work, side hustles. Not everybody wants to retire and do nothing. You want to keep yourself active and your brain learning new things, and so you might want to do something part-time. You don't want to work too much and collect Social Security at the same time, because there's some drawbacks to that. But if you're just doing things that get a little bit of money and it's keeping you active, keeping your brain sharp, that could be another source of income. Maybe you decide to declutter your house and you're selling a bunch of your stuff. That could be another source of income, although that's not sustainable because there's only so many things you have. But maybe you have a ton of stuff. Maybe you have old baseball cards, or you have, collectibles, or something that you just don't need. That's another thing you could do is either sell stuff that you have, or let's say you're an artist, you took up woodworking, or you're able to create something that you could sell online, like on Etsy, or you can create a product. Maybe you want to start a business that you couldn't do before. That could be another source of income. Now, the whole point of this channel is to try to retire early. So you don't want to try to give yourself another job, but if it gets you out of a job that you're just doing because you have to, because that's your health care, but once you're able to get Medicare and that's covered, maybe you want to do some sort of business that you couldn't do before for whatever reason, and that could be another source of income. So I'm curious, what does everybody think? Like, what types of sources of income that I haven't mentioned are available to you when you retire, so that you have to worry less about making ends meet and things like that. So we covered investments, rental income, Social Security, any side business hustle. I'm sure there's a bunch of things that I left out. But I'm curious, like, what do you think? Where are you getting your income to live off of? Um, Please leave comments down below. I appreciate it. Thank you.